The millionaire next door. How does the millionaire next door spend? The millionaire next door doesn't spend. The millionaire next door saves. Hey everyone, I want to talk to you guys today about the power of spending like a millionaire. And I know I need to talk about this subject because people in the world, people in North America and Canada and the United States, in all countries all across the world, there's a real underlying problem with spending. People don't know how to spend. So this segment, I'm going to talk to you guys about spending like a millionaire. How do you spend like a millionaire? How do millionaires spend? And I've actually asked a few and talked to them, and you know what the data suggests? It suggests that millionaires, one, don't spend as much as you think they do. And when they spend, they do it strategically. So when you look at, for instance, how a millionaire might spend, you might see the average millionaire next door. They're not showing up in a Lamborghini and they're not living in a huge multi-million-dollar house. Most of the millionaires that you meet, they show up in blue jeans and they have bank accounts in the tens of millions of dollars and they look like the average guy. They don't have anything fancy on, they're not investing or they're not spending on expenses, they're investing in all of the expenses that they make. So they buy cash flow producing assets instead of buying stuff that you have to throw away. And when they do have to buy things, they make sure they look at it from an investment perspective. So one of the things you have to look at is, well, one, do I need this item, right? And the second thing is, if I need this item, what is the most efficient and effective way to get this item for my time and for value? So for instance, you might go and say, there are a $25 pair of shoes you could buy. A millionaire might say, I could spend $75 on a quality pair of shoes that instead of the $25 pair that will last me 1 year, these shoes will last me 10 years. And so if you look at the cost of the item, even if it was a $100 pair of shoes, over 10 years, that's $10 per year, instead of $25 over 1 year. So you have to divide the useful life of the item, whatever you're buying. What is the useful life and what is the salvage value of that item? So for instance, a $100 pair of shoes. If I know in 10 years I could sell these beautiful shoes for $75 used because they're quality leather, you know, they're going to last me a long time, and someone else will even pay me for them because they have a useful life that's, say, a lifetime. So after 10 years, let's say that I bought them for 100 and they're worth 75. The item has cost me $25 over a 10-year period. That's $2.50 a year. So every expense that a millionaire makes, they look at things from, well, what is the useful life of this item? And so often that means buying quality over quantity. That means buying quality items that are going to last and have a good amortized amortized cost over the period of time that you have the item for. And a lot of things that I like to buy, I buy them at their resale value. So when I buy a car, I'll buy a car that's, say, $5,000. It's depreciated down to a value wherein I know in 2 years I can sell the car for the exact same price that I bought it for. So over a 2-year span, my cost of car ownership could be potentially zero. Whereas someone who buys a brand new car on the lot for $100,000, after 2 years that car is worth $60,000, they've lost $40,000 in 2 years. That's a $20,000 loss per year. So it's about making strategic spending decisions. The other important thing, and I just need to level with you guys, because look, 97% of people out there watching this video, 97% of you guys are saving less than 10% of what you earn. That's the data. Less than 10% is savings, and that's not going to make you a millionaire. Most millionaires didn't, and in today's society where rates of return and prime interest rate is so low, those sorts of saving percentages will not get you there. You need to be saving 20, 30, 40, 50% of income coming in order to unlock that 7-figure and 8-figure and even 9-figure net worth and really unlock that decamillionaire status and become a multi-millionaire. So everything that, everything you're doing needs to be aligned to that goal. So if your goal is to become a millionaire or to even become a little bit wealthier than you were before, you need to be strategic about how you spend. And specifically, if you're spending more than you're earning, you're not spending properly. If you're spending more than you're earning, you're not spending properly. You need to get your expenses in order. You have to look at all of the expenses in your life and say, is this adding value to my life? And if yes, then it needs to be in your life. But if it's not adding enough value for the cost, maybe you need to get rid of it. And then you ask yourself, okay, it's adding value. What is the most efficient way for me to get that item in the most cost-efficient manner, in a time-efficient manner as well? So for instance, if you need a car to get from A to B, you see a car as a tool. That's how I see a car. What is the most cost-efficient way for me to find a vehicle that will get me from A to B? It will run reliably, it won't need a ton in repairs, It's not gonna embarrass me to my investors and to my friends. It's an average, most millionaires next door drive average cars, roughly between 5 and 10 years old. That's the average age of the car that most millionaires next door drive. And being a millionaire next door is smart. Like, there's a reason that I don't drive the vehicle that I drive, right? At the end of the day, it's a really smart strategic decision. Someone is coming into our backyard. And most millionaires today, you're not even going to be able to tell they're a millionaire. Most of the most affluent and wealthy and connected individuals that I know in my local city, they own several businesses. They have their hands in many different pots. You don't even know it. We're talking about stealth wealth. They don't, you don't have any idea that they're wealthy. Those are often the wealthiest people. The person driving up in the Lamborghini in the big fancy house, oftentimes that entire lifestyle is financed on credit. They're spending almost all of their income to support that lifestyle. That fancy doctor who's going on 5 trips a year, and he's got this huge house and this beautiful car and this extravagant lifestyle living in the Joneses neighborhood, right? That's the wrong mentality. Like, you don't even want to be in the Jones neighborhood. You want to be in the neighborhood where you're not competing based on consumerist, materialistic possessions and items. The secret to actually building wealth is saving, right? You guys hear me talk about this all the time, to spend less, earn more, and maximize your returns. Yeah, you've got to earn more, right? Like, most of these millionaires next door are making 50, 60, 70, 80,000 plus a year, right? Some of them are plumbers, electricians, office workers. The professions vary greatly. So you don't have to necessarily be an investment banker or one of those high professions like a CEO or a doctor or a dentist in order to be a millionaire. And to be the millionaire next door, you might just live in an average house with an average yard. And I have a beautiful house and a beautiful yard. I could have triple the house and still pay the mortgage payments, no problem, just with my cash flow. But why would I do that? That would actually slow down my growth and slow down my trajectory. Gary Vee is famous for saying this, and I was watching one of the things he was saying, talking about people say, well, I gotta have that Porsche. That's my motivator, man. Like, I'm doing all this because I want to have that nice Porsche. And you know what Gary said in that interview I was watching? It was like, if you want the Porsche, if you gotta have the Porsche, you're never gonna own Porsche. So if you want the Porsche, you're never gonna own the company Porsche, right? If you want to own the companies, if you want to actually own the companies that produce these cars, if you want to be an affluent individual who owns the companies, you don't buy the stuff that the company's selling. You don't buy the crap. It's going to slow you down. I talk about this all the time, guys. You've got to be earning way up here and spending way down here and have this huge gap. If you're making 100 grand a year and you're spending 100 grand or 99,000 a year, you're saving $1,000 a year. That margin is so slim. It's going to take you like 1,000 years to become a millionaire. You're just not going to build wealth this way. It just doesn't work. You have to be saving. You could be making 60 grand a year and living on 25. Hey, I live on less than 25, and in future videos, I promise I will do a whole segment on how to travel for free. How do you bring your grocery bill down? How do you get your electric bill down to $90 a month? How do you find all these strategies to get your cell phone bill down to $25 a month for unlimited almost everything? There are hacks and there are strategies you can use to reduce your spending. And so those are all strategies I advise you should all take advantage of, and that's why I'll do videos on those topics, because millionaires next door tend to be very frugal. They tend to know how to spend their dollar effectively. They know how to maximize dollar utility, and that's really, really important. So, as I wrap this video up, guys, I want you to take that piece away that, the millionaire next door. How does the millionaire next door spend? The millionaire next door doesn't spend. The millionaire next door saves, and that's the key takeaway here. If you're gonna spend, make sure you spend efficiently and effectively, and look at each purchase as, what is the useful life of this item, and can I sell this item for what I paid for it? So if I buy a fancy YouTube camera for $700, can I sell that YouTube lens or camera for $700? And if I can, then I use it for an entire year for no cost. The expense was zero. If I get a tool online, I'll buy it for $100, and I'll use that tool for a job twice. I'm not going to rent it. I'm going to use it twice, and I'm going to sell it, sometimes for even more than I bought it for. I'll buy something undervalued on Craigslist or Kijiji, and then I'll sell it for more than I bought it for. So my cost for this item is zero. So I ask you guys to think about your spending and what you're buying in terms of, investment versus expense. So millionaires think of things when they spend as an investment. Even if they're making a one-time expense like a dinner out with someone, if they're going out to a dinner out, they try to make sure that that's providing exceptional value, because the resale value on a dinner is zero. After you're done eating it, you get nothing. There's nothing left to sell. There's no salvage value. It's a one-time pop and you're done. I guess you can compare that to the cost of eating at home, which is probably peanuts. So there's a huge cost there. But a millionaire might say, hey, I'm having a strategic business meeting with someone I want to build a relationship with. And so this dinner is actually an investment in that relationship, an investment in a future deal. So everything you do, you need to make sure that you're doing with that intent in mind. It's the intent that's important. Everything you're buying, everything you're doing is towards that mindset of, the millionaire mindset. And so that's my tip for today, guys. As always, spend less, earn more, and maximize returns to unlock a wealthier you. And spend like a millionaire, save like a millionaire, and you'll become a millionaire.